Welcome back to Color Me Poetry. We're here talking with poetess Tiffany van Dyke, and she's a wonderful young lady, wonderful poet. And we were just talking about writing and the writing process and how the writing comes to you. Do you write from the title, or do you write the poem and then put the title to it?
Well, most of the time I write the poem and then put the title to it. But in certain poems I can put the title first and just write from that.
Wow. Have you tried writing from the title first most of the time?
No,
or it doesn't work that way?
It doesn't work that way. Sometimes what I'll do is take the title and give it two meanings.
Okay.
Like, I wrote a poem for my godfather.
Yeah.
And it was called Dear, they called him Mr. Huss. And it was called Dear Mr. Huss, as if I was writing a letter to him. But at the end of the poem, it also said, "You'll always be my dear Mr. Huss." I like to give it double meaning sometimes.
Good. You have a piece that you can share with us now?
Yes, well, recently my mother got sick. And being adolescent, teenage years, we were in and out of getting along. So when she got sick, I just sat down and thought about everything. And I decided to write this poem for my mom. I didn't give it a title.
Okay.
So, this one. I once took for granted the love I was given that was stronger than any other. For some unknown reason, I took for granted the love I received from my mother. I felt she wanted to ruin my fun and my teenage years I had to live, never noticing that I could have anything that my mother had to give. Wise people told me to love my mother, for a time would come when she wasn't there. But at that time, my mom was very young, so I simply didn't care. I never dreamed of losing my mother, for she had been there from the start. Then I watched as my mother began to get sick, and I tell you, it broke my heart. That's all it took to wake me up. The thought of losing her brought despair. I had no idea what I could do if my mommy wasn't there. At this point, I felt completely helpless. I didn't know what to do. So I turned to someone I trusted, someone guaranteed to help me through. I turned to the Lord and prayed for my mom. I prayed for hours on end. I asked the Lord to give me one more chance. Please let me try again. I thought of all the times my mom had spoke, and I hadn't listened to her speak. Now I sat by her side listening for just one word, but my mother was much too weak. By the grace of God, my mother pulled through. An answer to my prayers had been found. Here I thought soon she'd be gone, but the Lord had kept her around. Now our relationship is of one I couldn't possibly sit and describe today. Conversation is not rare with us. I love to hear what she has to say. I think of her often, so if you ever see me with a tear in my eye or a smile and you wonder what's going on, just simply nod and walk away, because I'm thinking about my mom.
Oh, that's most beautiful. Did she see it?
Yeah, she saw it. Actually, I read it to her while she was still in the hospital. But...
Well, you call your mom or mommy?
Mommy. I call her mommy.
Well, let's call it the mommy poem.
Yeah. She's the first one to hear almost every poem I write, no matter where I am. Even when I'm here in Maryland and she's still in New York, I'll call and say, "Mommy, I wrote a poem. You want to hear it?"
That's beautiful that you do that, really, and have that connection, that vibration.
Yes.
It's just, because a lot of teenagers don't have that kind of connection, with their parents. Of course, that's most unfortunate, But
my mother and father, actually, I'd rather read it to my brother first, because they, of course, as me and my mother and father, they're like, "Oh, it was great. Nothing could possibly be wrong with it." But my brother's my critic. He'll sit down and say, "Well, that didn't sound right when you said this, and that didn't sound right." Yeah.
It's good to have somebody like that.
Yeah, my brother.
Do friends, you read to friends and they also will give you, because you want somebody to give you constructive criticism. You don't want somebody to just criticize because they got nothing else better to do.
And I don't want someone to just say,
No, you don't want that, because you can't grow. That's why sometimes when when I'm working on stuff or I finish, I don't usually go to family.
Yes. Because
family, they love you, they've known you since you was a baby, crawling around on the floor and all that. And they say, "Oh, yeah, everything you write is great," I don't want that. You can't grow.
Yes, my brother basically who does that. My best friend, her name is Tasha, she, when I read to other people, because people that know I'm a poet say, well, read something. She just basically sits by, like, she's so proud, and she's like, yeah, Tiffany wrote that. So I'm happy, because that's my girl, and she wrote that.
That's my
But sometimes, yeah, she'll pull it, I mean, she'll say it in front of everybody, well, Tiffany writes, why don't you read him a poem, Tiffany? You know you have one.
Really?
And I may not feel like wanting, I may not want to read, so I say, well, I don't have one. She'll say, well, you know you memorized one, just tell him that one.
Just like
a piece of it.
She just kind of matter of fact, like, you know you can do it. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, she just
it's good to have
puts
somebody
me
like
on
that.
the spot.
But she's very honest.
Very.
Yeah.
And she's a critic too, so.
So people often tell you that you're straightforward in your poetry sometimes. The message, I mean.
Yes.
Not necessarily the language, but the message, the way in which you write is straightforward and very down to earth.
Yes.
So when I've read your poetry and you've read it to me, I've never heard you write a poem that's, because sometimes people write poetry and they are very, I don't know the word I'm looking for, they off on a tangent. It's like very, they look, it's like they're not, their feet aren't planted on the earth in a sense. They go off on a tangent somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're very intangible, whatever it is they're talking about, and you can't really grasp it.
grab it. Something. See, that's the thing. When I was, I started writing very young, and then when I went into, I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to take a creative writing class. And I saw some of the poems there, and I felt like I respect them for that's how they want to write. But I've never been able to just write about, you know, things that somebody has to really look deep into to get. My poems are just there. It's a story. If you don't get it, then you just haven't read it right.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what about rhyme?